In this video, let's learn about error handling and some best practices to write our application. This is the same code which we wrote in some previous video tutorial wherein we were discussing about connecting and interacting with XRP ledger using WebSockets. So let me execute this script. We need to pass an R address to it and it fetches some fields and displays it onto the console. So suppose there is an error in the command and then we execute the same command and this is not the error message I wanted to show you, but at the end I'll show you why this error message erupted and how we can fix it. For now, let me comment this out and output whatever is present inside the constant data. So let's execute the script once again. So this is the standard error message depending upon the client library you are using. So just output the entire error log and check the individual fields. And one thing I wanted to stress here is the request field. When your request results in an error, the entire request is copied back as part of your response. So while sharing error messages, be very careful not to accidentally expose important account secrets to others. We are taking a couple of measures in our program as to not expose the secret by having strict as true and also checking the user input that if it's a valid R address. But if we don't have those checks and user just sends the secret, that itself erupts the error and the secret is exposed in the error log. So let's only display those error messages which we want the user to know. So before displaying the output or working upon this output data, let's check if this data, the constant data, has a field called error, which means our request resulted in an error. So if that's true, we shall display the error message which is present inside error_message. Remember, these fields are specific to the client library you are using, so just output the entire error and check for the individual fields and pick up the error message field and display it to the user. So let's execute the same command now. Let me clear the screen. And as you can see, it just outputs unknown method because this is an unknown method. So let me show you another error. Let me remove the 9 from the end of this R address, which outputs invalid R address. Now, what if we pass in an R address which is not active on the testnet? For example, this one. So clearly it tells the user that this account is not formed, which means it's not an active address, which makes sense instead of showing the whole error log. Now let me uncomment these stuffs, which picks up certain values from the field. Now let me execute the same command, which still should say account not found. Okay. Assuming we didn't have error handling here, and if the user passes an R address which is not active on XRP ledger, so let's check the output. It starts throwing bunch of errors which we saw earlier in this video. So this is because it doesn't have a field called ledger entry type or balance, owner count or anything because it's not yet been activated on XRP ledger. Okay, so easy fix is add a question mark, which means these fields are optional so that the JavaScript engine treats it well. But the output doesn't look nice. User experience won't be good at all. So it's better to have error handling before displaying the data or working with the output data. Let's pass the same input. Now look at the output, account not found, which makes all the sense that the account has not been activated on XRP ledger. Now if we pass the valid input, that is an R address which is active on the XRP ledger, it just outputs the values. So always keep these two things in mind, that is error handling before working with the output data, and also if your application needs user input, make sure to check and validate the user input. So in this case, user might enter invalid R address or might even enter his or her secret, but isValidAddress method checks for the validity of the user input, and then if it's wrong, it displays invalid R address and halts the further execution of the script. Our script is expecting the R address and it's checking for the validity of the R address. All these helper methods are present inside xrpl-accountlib. There are many other helper methods. Just use it according to your needs. And it's also a good practice not to expect the user to enter his or her secret. So make sure to always assign true to the field strict.